Let's clap that up. Shalom. We're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the Lord's chosen people, and of course our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Today is a Monday night history class, so we're going to be going into the curses in Deuteronomy. So we're going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. I'll give you a second to get there. And it's important for us to learn these curses because this is one of the big things that shows who the children of Israel are. Because as we're about to find out, these curses will be upon our nation for as long as we don't keep the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. You know what I'm saying? It's like a indicator to show our people who it is that we are, as well as to show the earth who the 12 tribes of Israel really are. You know what I'm saying? And as we read these, we'll figure out that the Jewish man does not fall under a single one of these curses in here. Salakia. All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, meaning a time will come. Of course, the Lord knows how his people are. You understand? He knows that we are a stiff-necked people, and eventually the time will come to where we would not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, that we would choose to turn our backs on him and to follow the gods and the culture of another nation. Understand? But we're going to learn what will happen to us once we decide to do so. If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee. You understand? So I mean, a time will come where our people will choose not to listen to what it is that the Lord has told us to do, which is to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. And by us defying our Father, the Most High God of Israel, understand that curses would come upon us. And you can look anywhere throughout history, and you can always see that the curses that the Lord said would come upon us is always repeating throughout history for a specific group of people. You understand? We're always at the bottom whenever it comes to, dwelling within these other nations. Whenever it comes to us having our own land and own empire, and yet we don't follow and live our lives how the Lord told us to, and therefore the Lord punishes us for doing so. You understand? There's a reason it is that we're always at the bottom, why we're always suffering as a people. And we got to start truly looking into that as a nation. Like, we can't just, sit there and say it's because of our complexion or whatever nonsense it is that we say as to why it is that we're at the bottom. There's really only one reason, and that's because we don't keep the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments, because we don't do as the Lord has told us to. And because we don't do that, the Lord punishes us. He's going to continue to punish us as a nation until we decide to listen to him. You understand? As a good child would. So, and overtake thee. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter what it is that we do as a nation. Like I said, we're going to stay cursed. even when it seems like times are getting better for our people. You understand? For instance, when our forefathers were emancipated, when we were so-called set free, you know, saying, which was a joyous time to where, you know, we thought we wouldn't have to be slaves anymore. We wouldn't have to get our backs beaten, and we'd be able to be like our oppressor, live equal lives. You understand? But yet then as soon as that happened, Jim Crow came in. You understand? When we had the civil rights movement, we thought we'd be able to, you know, sleep with white women, and sisters thought they'd be able to sleep with white men, and hold hands and drink from the same water fountain. And then once that happened, you understand, we lost all of our businesses. Our communities got destroyed and became run down because we've taken all of our money out of ourselves and put it into America, put it into the economy of our oppressor. And it's not just for so-called Negroes; it's also for the Hispanics and Indigenous as well. You understand? When the Indian Wars ended for the Indigenous, you understand, we thought that, you know, there'd be I don't want to say no more bloodshed, but there'd be a limited amount of bloodshed, and we'd be able to finally rebuild our communities, be able to hold our loved ones and not have to be on the run and worry about being slaughtered by the cavalry or by some bloodthirsty lying devil who only wants our land. Saying, when that's exactly what happened once the Indian Wars ended. You understand? These devils came in and marched us across hundreds of miles of land in order to acquire what it is that we had. Understand? Forcing for us to go through sicknesses. You understand? Forcing mothers to give birth on the trail of tears, and for them children to have their heads smashed by the boot heels of some disgusting devil. Like, it doesn't matter how things are supposedly progressing in this country. Our people, there's always going to be another thing coming. There's going to be another thing to just put us down. And we got to start actually looking into it as a people. You understand? Voting isn't going to help us. You understand? Choosing from the ideologies of our oppressor and these different heathens, that's not going to help our people. All it's going to do is destroy us even more. You're saying what's going to help us is to come back to keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. Come back to our power. Otherwise, we're going to continue to be at the bottom in any kingdom it is that we go to. It's like it. And really, we can thank our leaders for not telling us to how it is we're supposed to be conducting ourselves as a nation. You understand? Like the religious leaders within the Black and Hispanic communities, you understand, to have this book right here that follow it, or it's like, I shouldn't say follow it, but that claim to follow it and to study it day and night. Like these preachers should be telling our people to keep the law, statutes, commandments. They should be showing our people the scriptures in here that says Christ is a Black man, that says the real Jews are Black, that tells our people not to eat pork, not to be homosexuals. You understand? Sisters not to commit abortions or to be whores. For brothers and sisters not to hate one another. Like that's what they should be doing. And the Indigenous as well as Hispanic leaders, I mean, they should be damn near at the forefront. Just go look at all the artifacts that has been found within our lands. You understand? And like that's just even more proof of who it is that we are. And these leaders, they know about it. They know about the Los Lunes stone. You understand? They know about the Back Creek stone, the Newark holy stones. Like they know about all of that. But yet, because our oppressor says it's not relating to the indigenous people, you know, it don't belong to us. That ain't really who it is that we are. When in reality, those leaders know exactly what that is. They know who it belongs to, but they agree with our oppressor because that means that they'll be able to fatten their pockets a little bit more. And the same thing goes for the Hispanic leaders as well. Like it's our leaders know exactly what's going on and who we are, but yet because it profits them, they choose not to fight on behalf of our people. You see, that's why we got to think the ISUPK under command of General YAHANNA. Otherwise, our people would be going down an even rockier path. Because without this truth, boy, I mean, it's hard telling where our people would be. But we got to thank the Lord for showing our people the way since 1969. It's lucky. Cursed shall thou be in the city. And saying that's something that the tribe of Judah, really all the tribes know very well, is how we're cursed in these cities. And at the forefront of all of it is the racism of America. You understand? Like if our oppressor wasn't so just diabolical, you know what I'm saying? If he wasn't such a racist, like the amount of poverty it is that we live in as a nation, it wouldn't be to the point that it's at right now. You understand? The amount of drugs that are getting pumped into our communities to be sold and to be used by, you understand, children, be used by brothers and sisters who are weaker in the spirit. Like it wouldn't be as bad if our oppressor wasn't the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand? Because yeah, of course we're under these curses because we haven't followed the Lord, but our oppressor just adds on to it by ensuring that we continue to live in this lifestyle. That's why it is that he's always targeting our people with anything it is that he does. You understand? When it comes time to divvy out the money and everything, he makes sure that the Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous are the last ones to get it. You understand? Whenever it comes time for wages to come up, like he makes sure that he brings the cost of living up because he knows that Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous are only going to make a certain amount. Like that's just one of the tactics it is that our oppressor uses in order to keep us against the Lord. Because when a people are poor, they're going to turn to different vices in order to take their mind off of the hell it is they're living in every single day, that they've been living in for over 400 years. You know, so that's why drug addiction is such a problem for our people. That's why alcoholism or being alcoholic is such a problem for our people. Why being a whore or getting whores, why it's such a problem, because we look for vices in order to escape this oppression. You understand? And in doing so, we're really destroying our people more and more. You understand? When you make a whore out of a sister, you're destroying her. When brothers and sisters, when you're being drug dealers, you're destroying our communities. There is no coming up in the world. There is no, I only sell to able-bodied individuals, no pregnant women, no children. Like that's just not a thing when we're living this kind of lifestyle. And a perfect example is that is just look at our oppressor. Yes, and look at how it is that he operates. Look at the crack epidemic. It is that he really caused for our people. You understand? By putting all that into our communities, by making sure that we were utterly oppressed and living in poverty, so that we would turn to being drug dealers, so that we'd have to be drug addicts. You understand? Our oppressor, he's such a cunning hunter. Just as the scriptures say, like he knows how to get his way, and for him to get the children of Israel to stray further and further away from these laws, statutes, and commandments, that's exactly what it is that he wants. Because I mean, he can do whatever he pleases to his prey, which is blacks, Hispanics, and the indigenous. Like, and cursed shall thou be in the field. I'm saying, and this is perfect for the tribe of Gad, the so-called indigenous. You know what I'm saying? Really, as well as the Hispanics. You understand? Because you go look at those reservations, like it's utter hell. Like the indigenous tribes, they are up to like 5 to 20 times poorer than brothers and sisters in the ghettos. You understand? The amount of alcoholism that's going on is higher. You understand? General Hyman, like a 12 show General Hyman brought it out a few weeks ago of how it is that there was a single reservation that ingested, I think it's like 800 something cans of beer a day per individual. Like that, you would think that'd be, not even physically possible. Like that's just something that's you couldn't imagine. But because of the amount of oppression it is that we go through as people, like we do amazing things in order to escape the hell it is that we've been living in for so long. You understand? We do whatever we can in order to keep our minds off of how it is that our brothers and sisters celebrate our deaths every year with Thanksgiving. It's like so you want to grab your sword from the back, right there, one of the big ones. I'll say we're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 16. You got it?
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 16.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna read that from the top.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
So, grab that mic over there, folks.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
And like we were talking about a little while ago for the tribe of Gad, with them trying to escape from the immense amount of oppression it is that they go through every single day. You understand? They end up destroying. It's like we end up destroying ourselves. You understand? By getting high. You understand? By ingesting all that alcohol it is that we had brought up, and we can really thank our leaders for that, because our leaders should really be showing our people of how it is that we can get past that thought process of I need a way to escape from my life. You understand? Get past that thought process of I need to get high in order to cope with what has happened to my forefathers. You understand? I need to get high or get drunk so that I can cope with how it was that I was molested as a child, of how it is that I'm living in utter poverty, not able to find a job to support my family. Like, our leaders should be showing our people how we're supposed to be conducting ourselves, how it is that we can get out of this condition that we've been living in. But because our leaders really don't care about us, but they care about themselves, you understand? They care about their pockets and ensuring that their family can eat. They don't look out for our people. You understand? They don't tell our people that all these artifacts within the land, go ahead, that all these artifacts within the land actually show who it is that we are as a nation. You understand? You go and look at the artifacts that has all this Hebrew written all over it. Like, if our leaders were to tell the indigenous tribes that we are more than just uncivilized savages, you understand? We're more than just it's like a defeated people who are the slaves of America. You understand? Our people, we would change overnight. But because our leaders only care about themselves, because they don't care about what's going on within our nations, you understand, the Lord had to bring the ISUPK here in order to show our people the way, in order to show our people who it is that we are and how it is we're supposed to be conducting ourselves, what it is that our laws are, our real culture is. You understand? That's why we got to thank the Lord every single day for the ISUPK, because without this organization, man, we'd be like I said, we'd be just a shell of people.
That's right.
Go ahead. All right, Slack.
Verse 17.
Slack, let's say.
Come.
So I want to bring up one more point. I want to talk about the Hispanics with that. You understand? Not only is the tribe of Gad that's suffering out in the field with the Hispanics as well. Our people completely forgot about how it is that America had an immigration problem not too long ago with all the Hispanics that were fleeing their countries because they've been destabilized and they need a safer place to live. So they were all coming into America. You understand? But yet America turned all of them away. You understand? Those that did get in were thrown into ICE facilities to be beaten and abused, to be sexually assaulted, you know what I'm saying, and to never be seen again. And yet our people, we haven't even mentioned it since really Trump got out of office. You know what I'm saying? Once Trump got out of office, it was just to hell with the Hispanics. You understand? Those aren't our people. Those aren't our brothers. When at the end of the day, when it comes to the tribe of Judah, so-called Negroes, whenever there is an injustice done to us, like we're always up in arms, wanting for everybody to support us, wanting for everyone to stand with us when it comes to Hispanics and the Indigenous. But yet, when it comes to the Hispanics and Indigenous, like we don't stand with them. You understand? Like that's something that Social Jeremiah brought out as well, is that our people, we are too selfish. You understand? All we're worried about is me, and that's it. Once we get what we need, we just throw everyone else away, which is exactly what it is that our leaders have done with us. You understand? Our leaders have that me mentality of you understand, if you're not profiting me in any kind of way, then I don't need you. Or once you do give me what it is that I need, I don't need you. You've already given me what I've been asking for. Like that's that spirit that rubs off on our people, and that's exactly how we've been to the tribe of Gad. You understand? To the tribe of Issachar, to the tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim, so on and so forth. That's how we've been to our brethren. When we got to get out of that spirit, we got to get that spirit of America up off us, out of the people, and start truly caring about one another. Start having compassion for one another. Let me get verse 18.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body.
You understand? And this right here is talking about our children. And our children go every single day. It's like suffering in this wicked empire. You understand? Living in the ghettos, the barrios, and the reservations. Suffering all kinds of traumas. You understand? Whether it's physical or mental. Which, shoot, you can't go a day without going through some kind of mental trauma in this empire. You understand? Seeing how it is that your brothers and sisters are getting gunned down. You understand? A lot of our children have seen, you understand, their loved ones gunned down in front of them. To see your father get arrested, you understand? And it's like not only mental traumas, but as well as the physical. There's been plenty of young brothers and sisters who have been abused within this empire. You know what I'm saying? Who have been beaten by the police, who have been beaten by someone who has authority in this kingdom. You understand? Whether it is someone like in the police force or in the schools, you understand? Like anyone that has power within these lands, they've taken advantage of and abused our children. And we're really the only people that can say that this has been done to us. Like there's no other nation who has been constantly abused like throughout their generations. Like there might have been a point in time to where nations have had like 10 years of oppression or 20 years of oppression, but it ends there and they live their lives lavishly after that. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to worry about their children being beaten down and murdered. They don't have to worry about their children seeing their brethren murdered in front of them. They don't have to worry about their children being, I shouldn't say sexually assaulted, because that's the Arabs' culture right there. It's to sexually assault children and molest them, as well as these other nations. You understand? But that's things that is that our children face every single day within this kingdom. Go ahead.
And the fruit of thy land,
Mm-hmm.
the increase of thine kind,
Kindness, cattle. Go ahead.
and the flocks of thy sheep.
So, hold it there. And this is something that really the tribe of Judah, so-called Negroes, can't really relate to nowadays, because shoot, like niggas or slackies, African Americans, like aren't allowed to have, like, animals within the cities. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get land in order to farm and cultivate. Like, that's just something it is that we can't have as a nation because of how America has set things up. And once upon a time, we would know, how all that felt, but because our leaders have decided to look out for themselves instead of the people, you know what I'm saying, we've lost all of that. We've lost our farmlands. You understand? Like, there was a point in time when religious leaders could have stood up for our people and could have set up their own, basically like trade routes in order for us to generate income for ourselves as farmers. But because they allowed for the U.S. government to impose different laws and restrictions on what it is that Black farmers can do, you don't really see Black farmers nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And even in Hispanics, Indigenous, and as well as the brothers and sisters within the islands, you know what I'm saying, they know exactly how this feels, because they know no matter how many cattle it is that they have. So hold your point. They know how many. It's like they know no matter how many cattle it is that they have, is that how many sheep they have, no matter how much it is that they produce and are able to yield, like, it's never going to really be enough for them to make a living. You understand? Like Hispanic, Indigenous, as well as those who live in the islands, like, they don't make anything off of the goods it is they produce. Like, you can't even go to Jamaica and buy bananas from a Benjamite or a so-called Black man, because of the laws it is that America has, or I shouldn't say laws, like the hell it was called. It's a tariff. This is a restriction is that America has placed on that country for what it is that they can sell, what it is that they can put out there to generate income for themselves. You have something you want to say, Shmarshman?
It's just like we just settled, or our ancestors, whatever, settled for gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
In the heathen's way, the oppressor's way.
Mm-hmm.
And losing the ways of, like you were just talking about, farming and whatnot. Now it's all the way to concrete projects. That's it.
And like I said, you thank our leaders for that, because it's the leaders that push our people to live their lives a certain kind of way. That's why it is that homosexuality has become widely accepted within the Black, Hispanic, Indigenous community, because our leaders haven't spoken out about it. In fact, they really endorsed it and promoted it to our people like it's just a regular way of life, like it's something that's really acceptable and anyone should be able to express themselves. Like that's part of them selling out, them making sure that their pockets get fat while our people just dwindle away and become a shell of what we should be. Same thing with the farmland, you understand, living in the projects, all of that. Like, we can thank our leaders for that. Is there any more on that scripture? Or was that the end of 18?
Kind of.
Skip down to verse 23.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
You know what I'm saying? And this right here is talking about, it's saying our people be incarcerated, you know what I'm saying, thrown into jails. And there's no doubt that our people are the top incarcerated people within this empire, even though we're considered a minority. And that's not even to say that we've actually committed these crimes it is that we've been charged with. So just imagine how many brothers have been falsely accused of crimes that they didn't even commit. You know what I'm saying? Imagine all the brothers who didn't have any kind of criminal record, but because our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, you know what I'm saying, he just sits there and plants some evidence. You know what I'm saying? He says, because the brother didn't have a valid alibi, and all of a sudden he has to get locked up when he's the primary suspect. Like, our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And there's going to come a time, it's saying when Christ returns, that the ISUK is going to go get all those brothers who have been falsely accused of crimes out of those prisons. You know what I'm saying? Who are being abused every single day within those prisons, knowing that they didn't do a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a time to when the ISUK avenges the brothers who have been put to death on false charges. Because, like I said, our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. And so the devil's going to do what he does, which is to lie and deceive. Yes, and that's exactly what he's done to countless brothers who have met the death sentence because our oppressor is just such a racist bastard. And now the crazy thing is our oppressors even locking up brothers and sisters who are taking long. It's like it's too long to leave during an eviction. Like Commanding General YAHANNA brought that out. I think it was a few weeks ago about how it is that landlords couldn't just, throw anyone out of their where they were living. So they basically, I guess you'd say, found a loophole in order to get brothers and sisters who weren't able to pay their rent. They found a loophole to get them up out of them establishments by, having the law enforcement involved and saying, well, if you don't leave the property within 10 days, then you're likely to get arrested and thrown in jail. All your belongings thrown onto the sidewalk, and you just hit. You can't tell me this kingdom is not utterly wicked towards blacks, Hispanics, and the indigenous. So especially when you look at, like we said, what has gone unnoticed by our people, like with the Hispanics. Like there was a good bit of coverage years ago about what's going on with the Hispanics at the border and with the ICE facilities. But now our people just completely forgot about them. So they're just rotting away in them cages. You understand? You still got children who have been separated from their mothers, just sitting in cages, being molested by the guards who are supposed to protect them. And saying you got sisters who separate their protection or from their man, getting, abused and raped and coming up missing by the same people who are supposed to be protecting them. You understand? Same thing for the brothers, getting abused and coming up missing. Like that's not supposed to be happening in such a high security place. Like that's not supposed to be a thing. But because this empire hates blacks, Hispanics, and the indigenous so much, like they'll find any ways that they can in order to oppress and destroy our people. And if that means that they gotta take the risk in molesting a child at a government facility, then they're gonna do so. If that means that they gotta kidnap a sister out of a government facility and sell her into the sex trade, so like, yeah, they're gonna do so. That's how much this empire hates our people, and that's how much it is that our leaders have failed us. Like our leaders should have been speaking up about this, should have been, doing what it is that they can in order to get those brothers and sisters up out of that facility. But because, like we've said, they only care about themselves and their pockets, they're not going to do a damn thing for the Hispanics in those facilities. Like, you understand? The only ones who have been speaking up and making moves to get those brothers and sisters out of them concentration camps is the Isupk Sioux and Commanding General YAHANNA. Everyone else has just forgotten about it. Hasn't given a damn about them once they figured out that they couldn't get any financial gain up out of the situation. We haven't forgotten, and we won't forget about these brothers and sisters. Just like we won't forget about our people living in the ghettos, you understand, living in the barrios and in the reservations. We will never forget about our people, and we will continue to fight for our people. You understand? We just got to recognize who the real leaders of this nation are. Saying once we do that, we'll be on the right path to get our lives in order. You understand? We'll be on the right path of coming back to our God, our power, come back to our laws, our culture, our customs, you understand, our history, our way of life. But until we decide to do so, we're going to remain in this just hellish conditions. Like, go ahead.
Verse 24.
Oh, sorry. Skip down to 32.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
And that's something well known in history, of course. In the slave trade, how it is that our oppressor would break up our homes and send our children off to different plantations. You understand? And the modern way for our oppressor to do that is with CPS. You understand? By having the government come in, kick in your door, say you're unfit to be a parent, and then next thing you know, your child is living with a white family. You understand? Your child is halfway across the country being molested every other day by a foster family who claims to love them, who claims to get them all the best toys and give them the best life it is that they could possibly have. You understand? And of course, it's not just so-called African Americans, it's also the indigenous and Hispanic as well. We already talked about how it is that the Hispanics, you understand, that their children are separated from them, and how it is that countless cases have been brought up of child molestation going on in those ICE facilities. You understand? And of children having to represent themselves when it comes to basically confronting their attacker in courts. And you got the indigenous with the reservations. You understand? When our oppressor moved in and had what's called the adoption era going on, which is really the same thing which what CPS does in the ghettos. You understand? They moved in, kicked in indigenous brothers, sisters' door, said they weren't fit to be a parent and they couldn't provide all the necessities for the child, and then they snatched the child away for them to be, sold off to the, closest white family that wanted an indigenous child so that they could be molested every other day. Like that's the type of thing it is that we go through as a nation. Like you can't tell me that we are not the Lord's chosen people. You understand? We fit every single curse that's in this book right here. Go ahead.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
Mm-hmm.
And there shall be no might in thy hand.
You understand? So, just like any good parent, you understand, that loves their child, like you would desire to be with your child. You understand? You desire to have them in your arms and not, in a strange place getting ready to be auctioned off to the, highest bidding pedophile. But yet we don't have any might when it comes to battling this beast known as America, known as our oppressor. You understand? Just you can just look up all the cases it is that brothers and sisters have lost whenever they go to court to get their child back from CPS. You understand? All the money it is that brothers and sisters put into getting their child back, but yet they fail. You understand? All the pleas to governors and mayors that the Hispanics have done when trying to get their children out of the ICE facilities. You understand? All of it has failed. Like the only way that we will have might as a people, the only way we'll have strength, be able to defend ourselves and our households, is if we come back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Like there's no greater power than the Most High God of this earth. And that's the only way we're going to get out of this condition it is that we've been living in for so long. So, I mean, otherwise, we're going to continue to just follow these weak leaders, you understand, false prophets, continue to lie to our face in order to, get us to be good slaves in this empire. You understand? That's why we can never bring a so-called leader into. You understand? That's why we should never bring one of these so-called leaders into any situations that we got going on. You understand, brothers and sisters, if you have a child who has sadly been taken from you by police brutality, you understand, who has been taken from you by CPS, who has been taken from you by a mob of devils riding in pickup trucks, you shouldn't go to the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons. You understand? You should come to the ISUPK.
That's right.
We'll tell you how to handle that situation, and we'll get justice for your child, for your loved one. Go ahead.
Verse 33.
No, Saki. Yeah, 33. Go ahead.
The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
Saki, 1 second. I should skip down to verse 41.
Okay.
Lucky.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 41. thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
You understand? It's as simple as that. You understand? We'll have sons and daughters, but yet we won't enjoy them. And I mean, just like we just got done talking about with the CPS, you understand? Talking about how it is that police officers, target the youth of our nation. You understand? Pinning false crimes on them. Like that's the type of things that it is that we go through as a people. Like you don't see, Asians like their children getting accused of crimes they didn't commit. You don't see Africans, Arabs, you understand, East Indians, all these different nations. You don't see their children getting accused of crimes that they didn't commit. And not only do they not get accused, but they don't get thrown into prison for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't get charged as adults at 13, 15 years old for crimes that they didn't commit. But yet blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, we do. Like our oppressor is such a beast. You understand? He shows no mercy towards our people, regardless of our age. You understand? You can be old, you can be young, you can be sickly, you can be a sister. Like it doesn't matter. Our oppressor will never show us any kind of mercy as a nation, and that's just something we got to accept as a people. Like we got to accept this beast that is ruling over us. We got to accept that we will never be his brother, and he will never love us. You saying then maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to ensure that our children don't get locked up on false or petty crimes or charges. Like you understand? Just maybe we'll be able to teach our children who their enemy is and how it is they should be conducting themselves around their enemies. You understand? Because our children in the ISUPK, our children know who their enemies are. You understand? They are shown how to conduct themselves around these people. You understand? And most importantly, our children know that they shouldn't be taking matters into their own hands if something were to happen. You understand? They should come to their parents. And in the ISUPK, we listen to what our children have to say. You understand? We don't just call them liars and assume that they did something wrong and just throw them under the bus like they're nothing. Go ahead.
Verse 42. All thy trees and fruit of thy land.
So skip down to 43.
Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
So that's exactly what has happened with our oppressor, who was a stranger that is talking about. You know what I'm saying? He has gotten significantly higher above us as a people. Like this beast, he runs the earth. You understand? He runs this entire disgusting kingdom that is established off of the oppression of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and the indigenous. And until we separate as a nation, like he's going to continue to use our hard work, our labor to continue to rule this earth. Go ahead.
And thou shalt come down very low.
So that's exactly where our people are. You understand? We're down in the dirt right now. You understand? We've been in the dirt for 400 years, living in the worst possible conditions possible. You understand? Always having to answer to this devil with any and everything it is that we do. You understand? But there's going to be a time to where we come up above this beast, You understand that we get up high above him and then he comes down low. You understand? And at that time it's coming close. It's a lot closer than you think. You understand? A lot of our people believe that our oppressor, he's going to continue to stay at the top of the world. You understand? He's going to be the ultimate superpower until the end of time, because his power it is that he has right now is just, it's just too great for any nation to overcome. You understand? Whether it's the Africans or the Asians or the Arabs, like, you know, that white power, that's just too powerful in this earth. No one's going to ever overcome it. You understand? But there is a real power, a terrifying power that is going to decimate, you understand, that white power, that is going to decimate America's kingdom. And that is the Most High God of Israel.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
So I reread 44 books. So.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
You understand? And that's because our people, we have no power in this earth right now. You see, we haven't had any power in this earth for 400 years. Like our oppressor provides us with, you know, everything. You understand? He so much so that he even comes up with our curriculums. You understand what it is that we learn in school. You understand? He creates the society it is that we live in, and you know, basically makes it to how it is we're supposed to be like how is it we're supposed to be in this empire. Like he makes it so that we have to be, you know, drug dealers. You understand? The sisters have to be whores. We have to be slaves, just working away our lives in order to benefit his kingdom. Like he comes up with everything for our people. And really, if we left it to our people, because of the mentality it is that our leaders have put onto our nation, our people would much rather be subservient to America than to be free. Just like when we came up out of Egypt. You understand? When we came up out of Egypt, we didn't want to be our own nation, our own people. You understand? We wanted to go back and follow the Egyptians. We wanted to remain under them because things were easier for us. You understand? We already had everything provided for us. We already knew how it was we were supposed to think. We didn't have to go out and get our own food, get our own water, get our own drugs. We didn't have to do any of that. The Egyptians provided it for us, just like America provides it for us today. But thankfully, the Isupk is here to get our people out of that slave mentality that we've been living in for so long. You got something you want to say, Shamash One?
Carl. I was just gonna say, the press always makes sure some damn pork on our plates.
Right. You understand? That's his favorite thing right there is that pork. You understand? Because in our oppressor society, you understand that pork represents, you know, wealth. You understand? And of course he already knows if he gets for our people to eat pork, we're not going to follow the Lord. You hear every time you tell someone in the world, whether it's your family, you know, a close friend, you tell them, you know, you're not supposed to be eating pork, shrimp, crab, or lobster. Boy, you know, brothers and sisters, they lose their mind when they hear that. Like, they absolutely refuse to give up that swine, knowing that it's killing them, knowing that the Lord is not with you eating swine, with you eating them sea cockroaches known as shrimp, crab, or lobster. Like they know that the Lord's not with it, but yet because our leaders have made our people so selfish, it's all about me. Is what I want. And what I want to do is eat pork. You understand? What I want to do is get high and sleep with whores. That's how our people think. You understand? That's why our people need the ISUPK to get our nation out of that mentality.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 45.
It's like you're at the middle of 44.
Come. And thou shalt not listen to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
That's exactly what our people talk about. Every time it comes to America giving out money, or our people coming up in this world, you understand, we always talk about how it is that we get the crumbs and our oppressor gets the fatness of everything else. You understand? The crumbs, that's being at the tail. You understand? After all the goods it is that our oppressor has acquired from our hard work, you understand, from our blood, sweat, and tears, from the hours and days it is that we've sacrificed in order to help build up the resources of this empire. Once it's all been digested, you understand, by the government, you understand, digested by the white society, you understand, and digested by the other nations, it is our oppressor divvies the goods out to. Like, we get what is left. You understand? We get the least nutritious part of everything. You understand? We wonder why it is that we're living in the poverty it is that we're living in. Like, we wonder why it is that there's so much violence going on, and it's because we're living in poverty. You understand? It's because we have to fight over the crumbs while all these other nations are living their best lives, even if they've been exiled by their own kingdoms in order for them to live in America. Like, they're still living luxurious lives out here. Like they got Chinatown, Koreatown. You understand? The damn Bushman, he has his own communities. You understand? He owns the music industry, really the film industry, the diamond district, and whatever else it is he owns. You understand? Like, these heathens, they're set. Like, they're straight. We got to start acknowledging that as a people. You understand? But because our leaders have made us such good servants, like, we're worried about what another nation is doing. You understand? We're worried about how good are they off. You understand? Do they have the right amount of riches in order to support themselves, in this kingdom? And that's why so many of our people were so ready to go up in arms for the Asians, saying to stop Asian hate and all that other nonsense, because we've been programmed to be the best servants possible. You understand? We're good servants to these heathen nations, but we're the best servants to our oppressor. You understand? That's why we're always, fighting for his empire. You understand? Working day and night, sacrificing years and years and years, sacrificing our backs and knees, you understand, our shoulders, everything. We sacrifice everything in order to make sure that this empire runs smoothly. And yet, even with all that sacrifice, we have nothing to show for it. You understand? We got the ghettos to show for it. You understand? We got the highest incarceration rate to show for it. You understand? We got 500,000 abortions a year to show for it. You understand? We got poor health facilities to show for it. But we have nothing in this empire, and it's only a matter of time. Was really that time is coming, and is really already begun to happen. You understand? Our people are realizing that we are not really welcomed in this empire, no matter what the sacrifices it is we make, no matter what little crumbs it is that America gives us. Like, we're never going to be accepted here. We're never going to be accepted over in Africa. We're never going to be accepted by the Arabs or the Asians. Like, there's only one option, which is to gather together. You understand? The most undesired people within this earth. It's due past time for us to come together. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go with what you were saying. When it comes to Israel, no matter how good we do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it to the oppressor, it'll never be good enough.
Mm-hmm. You damn right, Marshall. You damn right. Never be good enough. Not only for America, but as well as our so-called leaders as well. No matter what we do, it's not going to be enough for them. No matter how much money we give them, it's not going to be enough. You understand that they're our so-called leaders are like right before you get to the tail. You understand? It's the government. You understand the economy, the white America, heathens, and you got just a little sliver that has these so-called leaders in there. They get just a little piece of the pie. They get a taste of the what's that? Damn it! What's that? Not the crust. What's the filling of the pie? What's that called?
Well, you just said it, the pie filling.
Oh, pie filling. Shoot, like it. You understand? They just get a little. They just get a little taste of that pie feeling. You understand? Skip down. How much time I got? All right, one second. Skip down to verse 45.
Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee.
You understand? Like all the curses we went over, as well as a lot we didn't go over. You understand? You can start at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15, and read all the way to verse 68. You understand? And you'll see all the curses it is that the Lord said we'd fall under as a nation if we chose not to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
And shall pursue thee.
And no matter where it is that we go as a nation, you understand, these curses, they're always going to be upon us. That's why, brothers and sisters who are living, up in Canada, they fall under these same curses. The brothers and sisters in Alaska, they fall under these curses. You understand? Of course, United States, forget about it. South America, you understand, the remnant of us that are scattered about all throughout this earth, like, you're going to fall under these curses right here. Because we're about to get into it. Go ahead.
And shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed.
So it's very simple. Just look at how we're living now in America. You understand? You can obviously see that we are a destroyed people living in this empire. And I mean, shoot, it's really a sad sight to see the condition of our people. You understand how it is that we are utterly destroyed as a nation. And it's because we refuse to come back to following the Lord. You understand? Of course, like we brought up this whole class, you can thank our so-called leaders. Go ahead.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee.
You understand? Of course, we live under these curses because we chose not to listen to the Lord when he told us to keep his law, statutes, commandments. You understand? And of course, you know, our oppressor has a role to play in it for making sure that we, you know, stray further and further away from keeping the law, statutes, commandments, with our so-called leaders, you know, being one of his little minions doing his bidding in order to keep us on that path. You understand? Because there was a time when our iniquity was supposed to come to an end. You understand? But our oppressor, being the devil that he is, he ensured that we, you know, stayed in those ways, ensured that we, went more towards his way of life rather than coming back to our own. Go ahead.
Verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
You understand? And that's exactly how you know, well, one of the ways it is that you know who the 12 tribes of Israel are. It's saying because these curses, like, they'll be a indicator of who the Lord's chosen people are. Like we brought out, there's no other nation on this earth who is living under these curses. You know what I'm saying? They might have, a decade or so where they have a little rough spot, but at the end of the day, they get out of that condition. You know what I'm saying? It might have been a point in time when, China, they had a little famine, killed a couple million people, but at the end of the day, look at them now. Like, they are a superpower. They produce damn near all the goods that go throughout this earth. Like, they aren't hurting or wanting for a damn thing. You understand? They're so wealthy. They're putting money into, Africa, helping them build up their economy. Like, these people, they aren't hurting. The Jewish man, he might have had his own little, what he calls a Holocaust, but at the end of the day, he's one of the top military powers on this earth. He gets billions of dollars from the United States every single year in order for them to build up their infrastructure, in order for them to build up their military and their economy, and to ensure that what happened to them during World War II were to never happen again. But yet, over in what they call Israel, they're practicing homosexuality. You understand? They got their rabbis sucking the blood out of baby penises. You got cats that's sleeping with their mothers and their aunts. You understand? They're over there murdering the Palestinians. Like, they are not keeping the Lord's law, statute, commandments, but yet they're living their best lives. You understand? They're one of the richest empires out here. But yet they're supposed to be the Lord's chosen people doing all these disgusting things. Like, that shows you that they are not the 12 tribes of Israel. They are not one of the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? They are imposters. Go ahead.
Kind out of my kind. You just took the words out of my mouth. Damn imposters.
Hey, you damn right. That's exactly who they are. And the same thing applies for all of these other nations. Like, they might have had a little rough spot, but they overcame that. Like, they aren't constantly living under the curses here, not constantly in poverty, not constantly being oppressed by another nation. You understand? The children are not being abducted by other nations to be, sold into sex trafficking. Same thing goes for the women, but it's always something that happens to Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous. For as long as we've known, you understand, for as long as America has documented the history of our people, like, these things have been happening to us. But yeah, no one else can say that about themselves. Like, it's time to face the truth as a people and realize that maybe we are the Lord's chosen people. You understand? Maybe the Hebrew artifacts that have been found throughout the Americas, maybe that does belong to the Indigenous and the Hispanics. You understand? Maybe the land of Judah that was over on the west coast of Africa, where slaves were taken from. Maybe those people, maybe they are the tribe of Judah. Like, doesn't that make more sense than to try to deny and force yourself to believe a lie? At least it makes more sense to me. At least it makes sense to the ISUPK. Go ahead.
And upon thy seed forever.
For what?
Forever.
For what?
Forever.
You understand? Forever. For as long as our people are breaking the Lord's statutes and commandments, these curses are going to be upon us and upon our children forever, until we decide to get our act right, until we decide to live our lives how our Father told us to. That's the perfect scripture to show that no other nation could be any of the 12 tribes of Israel. It's only Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. Go ahead.
Verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness.
You know what I'm saying? Because we would much rather choose pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster over happily serving the Lord. You know what I'm saying? It's really not a hard thing to keep these laws, statutes, commandments. You understand? Once you come into the school, like, you really have a weight lifted off of your chest. You understand? When you figure out how it is you're supposed to be living your life. You understand? And in here, we are happy to serve the Lord. You understand? We are happy to not get high anymore, to try to escape from the oppression it is that we go through, to try to escape from the poverty that we've been living in all our lives. You understand? We are happy to do away with that disgusting swine that is filled with parasites and diseases. That's it's just that simple. It's like, you understand, it might be harder for some people, you understand, but at the end of the day, when you truly commit to following the statutes and commandments and doing the bidding of the Most High God of Israel, it's truly a blessing. You understand? Go ahead.
And with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
You understand? And if us as a nation, if we were to, commit to following the Lord's statutes and commandments, you understand, we would have any and everything that we wanted. Like, we wouldn't be living in poverty. We'd have the riches. You understand? We'd be richer than America, the greatest empire this earth has ever seen. We'd be richer than the Jewish man who owns the diamonds and basically runs this goddamn earth. You understand? We'd be richer than the Africans, than the Arabs with their oil money. You understand? And the East Indians. We'd have the greatest military. We would control and dictate the laws of all these lands. We would have everything in this earth. But that's if we were to serve the Lord with joyfulness and gladness. You understand? Go ahead.
If I may, Armand, thanks to Commander Jen YAHANNA and the UPK, I don't know exactly where it says it in the book, but where it speaks on like the truth being spread throughout the four corners of the earth. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like there's no damn excuses no more. Like, for all the complaining that people doing in rap music and F the police and just almost the slide that we put on ourselves, but one still wanting to know something extra. I just feel like there's no other excuse. There's There's no other excuse outside of kind of like what you already spoke on, how we got pulled out of Egypt. But one still wanted to go back, saying, we was good there.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong, but I just feel like given these time of days, given 400 plus years of oppression or whatnot, and most of all, Commander General and the UPK to really spread this truth. What other excuses there for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians not to, come together?
Mm-hmm. That's a heavy point you brought up, but like we've been talking about, you gotta remember, like our people are real influential when it comes to our leaders. You understand? Our leaders really control everything it is that we do. Like that's why our oppressor has to make sure they have the right, slave in that position in order to influence the people. Like when our people, go out and start rioting and burning down towns because, brothers have been murdered by devils, it's the leaders that come in to squash all of that, to get for us to get that warrior spirit off of us and to get that submissive, God loves everybody spirit back upon us. And that's with any, tribe out there. Out of all the 12 tribes, there's always someone put in place that can keep the slaves in check. That's why the ISUPK is so important. That's why, we got to thank the Lord for Commanding General YAHANNA, because without this mighty man teaching this truth, not making any excuses, being selfless instead of selfish, like we're able to be here today. You understand? Right. We're able to not be influenced by the good slaves who look to get that little bit of pie filling. You understand? So we're gonna go ahead and end it there. ISUPK security announcements. We're the ISUPK. Start out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. 5 is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. It means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, gives a treasury department or teacher, priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests, and it's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, which is the Feast of Purim. Next class, I'll have the dates for you. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and a war scarf. With that said, Imadium, which means to stand. Wapunya Hakidam, which means to turn and face the east. I might have to take that off. Yeah, that one looks like it's covering it. It's got to be the crown you have to cover it. I said, well, you can wear your warband though. Just go ahead and throw it on. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu,
Abanawu,
Shabbat Shemayim,
Shabbat Shemayim,
Kodash,
Kodash,
Hayah,
Hayah,
Shemka,
Shemka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Malakwithka,
Malakavka,
Thaba'ah,
Tawa'ah,
Ratazayaka,
Ratazayaka,
Hayah,
Hayah,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Ba'aratazah,
Ba'aratazah,
Kawah,
Kabo,
Hayah,
Hayah,
Bashamayim,
Bashemayim,
Nathan,
Nathan,
Lanawa,
Lanaw,
Lakam,
Lakam,
Call,
Kal,
Yawam,
Yawam,
Wasalakanaw,
Wasalakanaw,
Kawabawahayanaw.
Kawanaka, Shalaki,
It's well. Kasalakanaw,
Kasalakanaw,
Kawabawahayanaw,
Kalawakanaw,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Tabayayanaw,
Tawanayanaw,
Banasaya 1,
Bakasaya 1,
Abal,
Abo,
Hawashayanaw,
Hawashayanaw,
Mayan,
Mayan,
Rai,
Rai,
Kaya,
Kayuba,
Laka,
Laka,
Hamalakwith,
Hamalakwith,
Waha'ala,
Walahawa,
Wahataparith,
Wataparith,
La'awalamyam,
Waitanani,
Aman.
Aman.
The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
thy kingdom come,
thy will be done
thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts
and forgive us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
The prayer for the Hakak, or the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem Yahushai,
Bahashem Yahushai,
Babakushah,
Babakushah,
Nathanael,
Nathanael,
Hakak,
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 La Rapa'ah,
La Rapara,
Ka Makala,
Kamakola,
Wakal Marawa,
Wakal Marawa,
Hakak,
Hakak,
La Tahar,
La Tahor,
Hamatazarayan,
Hamatazariah,
Hakak,
Hakak,
La Hakim,
La Hakim,
Hamathium,
Hamathi,
Hakak,
Hakak,
Arwakawath,
Al Rakawa,
Hatama Allah,
Atama Ali,
Lagarshan,
Lagarshan,
Bahashem Yahushai,
Bahashem Yahushai,
the water Aman.
Sabaraman,
The prayer for the power in the English. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai,
please give us the power
please give us the
power to heal
the power to heal
all manner of sickness
all manner of sickness
and all manner of disease,
and all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to raise the dead,
the power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits,
the power against unclean spirits,
to cast them out.
to cast them out.
In the name of Yahushai,
In the name of Yahushua,
thank you.
thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
wa Yahushai,
wa Yahushua,
Wam Yaka'ala,
Wam Wak Yahweh,
wa Ahayim,
wa Ahayim,
Matazab Ya'ah,
Makazab Yahah,
Alawak Yahanna,
Alawak Yahanna,
Ha Alawakim,
Alawakim,
Hazaranyum,
Hazaranyim,
Ha Kwatazayanyum,
Ha Kwatazayanyim,
Ha Kayayayum,
Ha Kayayanyim,
Waha Akwathian,
Wa Kwatiyim,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem Yahushai,
Bahashem Yahushua,
the water Aman.
the water Amun.
Prayer for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh. Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahushai,
and Yahushua,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angels,
and the angels,
commanding General Yahanna,
commanding General Yahanna,
the generals,
the generals,
the captains,
the captains,
the officers,
the officers,
the troopers,
the troopers,
and the sisters.
and the sisters.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushua,
thank you.
thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Sorry. which means to turn. Sisters Yashabia, which means to be seated. We're going to give a salute to the brothers, men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Barak Dom, Yahya Matah. Sisters Amadim, which means to stand. Sar, turn and face the sisters. So just turn away. Yeah, this one. We're going to give a salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al Thumb Ba'ashim Yahushua. Yahya Matah. Class dismissed.